How about Mike? Does he not have the best hair?
We don't need any corrupt files. He's got great hair.
He does.
All right, guys, you're ready to go.
We're ready. Are we good right now? All right.
The file's already corrupted, Mike.
Your file is
They're
definitely
well
corrupted.
Like that, is that zero? Coke Zero? What's in? Like what is in there?
It's caffeine and no sugar.
Okay.
That's it. I mean,
It kinda has
I
a taste.
can't remember the last time I had like a regular Coca-Cola. If I do, there's no Coke Zero, or it's a total holiday. Now I'll go through 2 to 5 pints of ice cream, no problem.
Yeah.
But I figure like that the sugar is kind of wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just take the cancer and leave the sugar out of it.
So what are you drinking?
Tea, nice herbal tea. I'm on a big ginger kick. I mean, my kids think I'm disgusting, but once a week, I get a jug. I don't know how to tell you this. My whole regimen.
Tell me.
Well, it's a regimen. It's ridiculous, but I get like tons of ginger. Like I, shave it out, and then I get some cayenne pepper, and then I get some turmeric, a little lemon, maybe some honey, and it's just this, And then I pour some of that, and I mix it with another bag of just like as much ginger as I can get. I don't know what that is, but like late in life, like I can't get enough, and I like the burn. It's like it's kind of like an alcohol drink. Like
Yeah.
I can drink like with the cayenne and the ginger.
So is that ginger like right there?
Yeah, this is like a hot ginger cayenne pow. It's just
Okay.
a punch, and I love it. And it's probably pretty gross.
But I mean, what do you think
That's my
that?
thing. I just walk around all day with this.
No, you don't. Do you really?
I do, yeah.
Well, especially now because you're kind of under the weather. Turn his volume up a little bit. We got to make sure, Okay.
I think Mike knows how to do it.
Yeah, I know. What the fuck, dude? There's nothing worse when somebody's telling you how to do your job.
No.
Speaking of your job.
No,
now-
I
go
just
ahead.
I played basketball last night, so I think I just overdid.
What are you, a pro basketball
Yeah,
player?
no.
Because we were talking about your job. Okay, so you played hoops last night. You think you overdid it.
That's all.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I was celebrating because I was rather done.
You won 5 out of 5 games. You are 50 years old, right?
Yeah. Well, me and a couple other old dudes took on these college kids. So it was us 3 old dudes and these 3 college kids. And I'm sorry, Sam and Zach. And
Where do you play?
but we dominated. This is the best part. We don't play in a gym. We play in someone's backyard, and we hang up like work lights.
No kidding.
Yeah, and then we put the little work radio on. So we've got like the 90s hip hop going. It's kind of we think it's totally cool, but it's probably pretty pathetic. And then it's brawl ball. We just get in there and just beat the crap out of each other.
How many guys?
Very
5 on 5?
nice to it. 5? No, it's 3 on 3 generally.
So half court or full court?
Half court. It's just literally some dude's
Yeah.
backyard.
Yeah.
Here in North Waco, and we just light it up, turn on the tunes, and no matter what the weather is, we go for it. We've done it in 100 degrees. We've done it in freezing. It's like every Tuesday night we do it. I keep inviting you.
Well, because I wake up so early. Even now I'm kind of I'm staying here tonight because we're expecting bad weather, like I mentioned.
Oh yeah.
So I got a hotel. The station got me a hotel.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay. You could stay with us.
Yeah, I know. You would let me stay with you. You got a beautiful home,
Absolutely.
too.
Plenty of room.
All right, so let's get into your story. Now, the reason a year later, February 4th, the first Payoff podcast went up.
Big payoff.
You were the guest.
Yeah.
And here we are, almost 100,000 downloads and 52 shows later.
That's right. I looked.
Mike, I'm going to be liberal with the numbers. All right, we're trying to get sponsors here, around 100,000. I wanted to have you back because one, I don't think I was as good. I don't think I'm great now, but I think I've improved. I think I was a little skittish that first time. So I mentioned to you, I love Howard Stern, but when he has a guest in the first time, recently he had Ben Affleck in for the first time, and it was such a treasure. But the second time, it's just never the same. Because unless it's like a Johnny Carson, like Don Rickles is back, or, Alec Baldwin, who, however you feel about him,
Love him.
I really don't care. I love him. He's
He's the best.
an incredible guest.
Love him.
Incredible guest. So he's the one guy that's recurring on Howard that I like. But, I wanted to have you back and just kind of go through your story once again. But I think it's important also to ask you, February 4th of last year till now,
Yeah.
what has your last year been like?
I'm glad. Yes. Okay. So, first of all, have you seen Howard Stern on Comedians in Cars?
Incredible.
Freaking hilarious.
Unbelievable. That is awesome.
Tell a story. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I didn't want to repeat myself, so an hour ago I fast forwarded our previous interview just to listen through and just to make sure I'm not saying, I don't know why I did that.
Yeah. Because you're a good guest.
I don't know. I thought it was great. I mean, I thought your questions were great. I thought it was great, but anyway.
Okay.
But it's been a weird year for me since then. It's been a weird year, and I'm happy to go into detail or not, but in general, and then we can drill down if you want, but I stopped going to meetings pretty much right after I mean, I probably was doing it right before, but that whole year I didn't really go to meetings because COVID, that was my thing, and I'm too stubborn and whatever to do the Zoom. I didn't want to do that. And I had a ton of work, and I just got busy with stuff. And it took a toll on my sobriety. I didn't drink, but I found myself repeating some old behaviors, and kind of getting to the point where a couple of months ago, just right before Christmas or so, kind of had a reckoning with all that, and I think it was just. I kind of don't know where to start with all this, but in general.
Well, we started. So.
Well, we started.
Yeah.
I mean, I missed the fellowship, number one. Number two, I had all this knowledge of AA in my head, and so and number three, there was no rub. There was nothing from me that I was complacent and comfortable in my life enough to feel like I didn't need you guys or higher power. I'd give it lip service, but I didn't give it heart service. And I certainly was not dependent on someone else, and I certainly wasn't open with someone else 100%. I had some character defects, as they say, that started to really push their way to the front of the line, and eventually kind of took over. And my wife and we kind of had a reckoning, and she was like, "What's going on, dude?"
What do you want to go into as far as the reckoning and the old behaviors?
Well, so I could go into my my self-centeredness, which is the biggest part of it. Is I really sort of started to throw myself into creating music, and I would disappear for hours during the day, and I would get super defensive if that was threatened, and I also sort of started to develop this thing that used to happen back in the day, where I in my heart I was demanding recognition, and I started to become a victim that all this stuff I'm doing is not being recognized, and you don't understand me, and
were you like
it's hard
that?
to explain, but I was very I was just
I get it. I'm like that too.
I did not have peace. I did not have peace. So, and
when certain things that I think are important, right? When they get threatened, I get freaked out. It's something that I'm working with now, just to kind of become a little more. I always tell people, "Oh man, I'm laid back." I'm really not. I'm laid back as long as you let me do whatever I want to do, and I can be self-centered, right?
I can act like you're laid back.
Yeah. I'm chill. Otherwise, look, I got a flannel on. I've got glasses. I got Vans. Like, come on, man. Yeah, I'm growing a beard. But at the end of the day, I'm just like my dad. I'm a complete tightwad about people getting, stepping on my time.
That's right.
It's kind of how I'm built as an alcoholic, I think. So, like, running is a thing that I like to do. And if anybody gets in the way of that,
Yeah.
I get weird.
Yeah. Well, that's okay though. You got to run.
Yeah, you do, but at the same time, you have to you shouldn't be a maniac about it, you know. And I notice certain things like this. So back to you.
So let me just clarify this just real quick, and then you can ask me. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
The anxiety and the fear, particularly over the work I was doing, the financial stress, all of that stuff was started to come back and sort of take over, and I just forgot. I forgot that I was
An alcoholic.
an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Because I didn't talk to any alcoholics, and it was just this thing I used to do. It was this. I'm over that now, and what I'd like to talk about eventually is the rebirth of it all, and how this is, more will be revealed, and how this is all a process of this program, and how the good things that come out of this stuff, because it always takes pain for me to have any kind of growth, any kind of spiritual
Something
growth.
has to happen before something happens.
Every time.
All the time for me.
Has to suck.
All
a
the
little
time.
bit of calamity has to happen.
Yeah. And so that calamity happened for you. You had a reckoning with your wife.
I did.
Yeah. Was she the music? And because I've talked to you about this, you were creating again.
Right.
You were being creative again.
Right.
And that's intoxicating for someone like you. You're going to not let me say any of this, but you got to hang in there and take these compliments. You were a recording artist on a major record label. You made a big time film. I was watching Tony Hale, who starred in the film with you. I was watching him the other night.
Emmy winner.
Amy Winner, yes. Amy Winner, Tony Hale. And who was the other guy? Jeremy
Sisto.
Jeremy Sisto, yeah. But Tony Hale was in the Lucille Ball movie.
Oh, that's right.
Being the Ricardos. He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's got a huge role, and it made me think of you. So you've had all this success and whatever you want to call it, sizzle around you. And you also, it's just being creative. It's fulfilling. That is fulfilling.
Yeah.
So you're back to doing that again. And do you feel like that took over?
Yeah, I do. I feel like that took over. I feel like that became a big, I hate to use these religious words, but it sort of became a big idol for me. And
Your mistress, too.
that's exactly what my wife called it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she called it your mistress, because I would go upstairs in my little room, and I would just seal myself off in this bubble, and I would create. And there's nothing inherently wrong with any of that. But when it comes to the expense of spending time with my family, when it comes to the expense of not doing my responsibilities, I mean, it was just she also used the word masturbation. But it was that
It
kind
was
of
like
thing.
your own masturbation.
Yeah, I was up there when I was turning it sexual.
I want to clarify that for people.
But yeah, I would just disappear.
Yeah.
And it was probably pretty similar to the way I treated alcohol back in the day. I would withdraw. I would become singular. I would disappear. I would not return your calls. I would isolate.
Yeah.
And
It becomes the thing.
I stopped being open.
Okay.
There it is. I stopped being open to what the universe, to what God was putting in front of me. It didn't care what that was. Push it out of the way, because this is what I want to do. And
It becomes the thing.
becomes the thing.
And when you're thinking about, all of a sudden you've got this, it's the thing. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So you think about it all day.
Yeah. And then why isn't anybody else noticing me? Oh, hold on just a second. Wait, I need some recognition. And that's just such a gross feeling for me to have. And
How did it start? I mean, because here's the deal. I moved here, 4.5 years ago, and I go to meetings, and there you are. I remember Doug, your sponsor, who's just like an icon.
I'm seeing him tomorrow.
Yeah, he's the man.
He
and
is the
Doug's
man.
got like 30 some years. He says he still has his character defects. He just doesn't use them as much as he used to now that he's sober. But I remember you giving Doug his chip, whatever, 25, 30 years, however many. I was like, and you were talking about him, and I was like, wow, that guy,
Yeah.
he's got the sunlight of the Spirit coming through him, And then, I asked you to be my sponsor. We're hanging out a ton. And like, how does that guy
Yeah.
end up like this guy?
Yeah. Isolation, just not being in touch. How does it? I mean, it's just gradually by inch by inch, and that's the baffling part about this thing, is that I didn't really even realize it. In my head, I'm like, everything's fine, And it. So I think it's just it took some other people stepping into my life, sort of reminding me, dude, you're not. This is not who. This doesn't seem healthy, what you're doing here. So I think to answer your question, I stopped doing the little things. And for me, as goofy as it sounds, I roll out of bed and I have some pillows on the floor because I throw them off, when I'm sleeping. And so I go straight to my knees and I just sit there. Sometimes I talk to God, sometimes I just sit there. But it's sort of, to me, it's like this acknowledgement of gratitude for being alive that day and saying, this is your day. And that kind of, but so little things like that, I don't need to do that. Calling somebody or even being a sponsor. Like I dropped the ball on that big time. I had a couple of dudes and I just was like, I just didn't.
I've recently done that.
Yeah. And I felt really guilty about that. But then I'm like, and of course I'm not going to meetings.
Yeah.
I'm not making any effort.
How long did you go between meetings?
I probably 3 months I'd show up just to punch my card.
Yeah.
And then I'm still here. And then I go away for 2 or 3 months. I mean, that's what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is all.
And I started to think this AA thing. I started interesting. I really started to think, well, maybe I was overthinking this AA stuff.
That's what I wanted to get to. Yeah. Did you feel like? Do you feel like you weren't an alcoholic? Like maybe you had been misdiagnosed?
100%. Towards the end, I was like, wait a minute, that was weird. I can't believe I did that.
Did you go to meetings? Because this happens to me, and you don't have to relapse to think this way. Did you go to meetings and think, who are these losers? Like I have done that. Alcoholics are my tribe.
Right.
Whatever they are, I am one of them.
Right.
So, but what I have is the terminal uniqueness that if I get away for a little while,
totally.
I can come back and be like, what?
Yeah.
And sometimes, honestly, it never lasts the length of a 1 hour meeting. Usually after a half an hour, I'll thaw out and I start thinking like I should think, not like how I'm programmed to think, but the way that I'm programmed to think, I will think that way if I don't get around.
Yeah.
AA. That is just how
I totally agree.
It works for me, and I could definitely be, I feel you when you say that, like, maybe I was misdiagnosed or maybe, well, that was weird. That was a weird phase. Like it was like when I was smoking a ton of weed and wearing tie-dye and listening to the Grateful Dead every day for, 2 years in college. Like, well, that was different. It's like, no, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Get the Chili Peppers tattoo on your arm.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, 30 years later.
Okay, yeah.
Still love the peppers, man.
Yeah.
That's totally funny. I absolutely relate to that. It's it's God's economy, right? It's an upside down world. I mean, the things that are valued here that are not valued there, and vice versa. So when I go to a meeting and I see some,
say that. Can you describe that a little more? God's economy.
The whole thing is where it would harm others, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so in that
100%.
the context that we're talking about this, maybe we meet back next year this time and we can further talk.
Chapter 3.
I mean, I don't know.
All right, so
I like this idea though. Check in every year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great.
You got to go to meetings in between though.
Totally.
Right? Me too.
I've been going every day.
All right, God's economy.
Well, just the loser that walks into AA that says, I am at the end of my rope and he's lifted up by the program and he still doesn't have any money or what. I'm just the thing. And so he's this, if you have, it's just a real simple concept, but if you're valued in our society, you are quote unquote successful and you have money and you have status and you have prestige and all of those things can accompany an alcoholic, but they don't define the alcoholic. And the alcoholic is defined by, his sobriety and his selflessness and his closeness to his higher power and the way that he lives life is, it's that whole thing that's true ambition. We should look it up, but it's one of my favorite daily readings. But it's basically true ambition is not what we thought it was. True ambition is to walk humbly and to serve other people. That's what true ambition is. What is the prompt? It says, as praying only for knowledge of His will for us.
Yeah.
And the ability to carry that out. That's the true ambition part. And that's what's not necessarily valued over here. So that's all I mean is that there are rock stars in AA that you like Doug or somebody that you say, I don't know how Doug is perceived in in the world, but in AA, he's just this magnificent spirit.
Man, now I need some of that because I've talked about this in meetings, and maybe I've talked about it here on this podcast. I don't know if I have, but I have this when I start to get kind of funky and start thinking the wrong way. I have this vision of a hierarchy in the world, and it's like God, and it's like LeBron James, Barack Obama, like Dwayne
Sure.
Wade. He's probably down here now. Doesn't play anymore.
Heck yeah.
Chris Cuomo was here. Now he's down here.
That's right. He moved.
Yeah. With his brother Andrew, they both cratered, and that's wrong. But and guess what? Doug isn't on that list, or somebody who inspires me in AA. They're not on that list. When in reality, the people who have truly touched my lives are those rock stars, and your perception of everything gets so out of whack for an alcoholic. And this is one thing I wanted to pose to you. Just hanging with you and kind of charting your course since I've met you. Your life has gotten better on paper from what I've seen.
100%.
You said in a meeting, or you said on the podcast that we had a year ago when you joined me, you said that when you finally had let go of your financial insecurities was when you started to roll. And when you let go of that, it seems like a bit of a windfall came through for you, and God carried you. And then it's the first thing that we turn around and drop, right?
Exactly.
Or
take ownership of.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to, okay, now
These things
it's
are
up
mine.
to me to keep the balls in the air now.
Yeah. And did you find yourself doing that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Right.
So when this is happening, what's going on with your relationships with people? I mean, what is the anatomy of this quote unquote breakdown?
Yeah.
What's happening to you? Because
I'll just give you an example from yesterday. Yesterday, I have 3 different projects that I'm working. I feel like I'm waiting tables. I feel like I've got like 5 tops, and I'm just running. This guy needs something over here, and I'm rehabbing houses. So I have 3 different properties that I'm working on, which is amazing, right? Because 16 years ago, I was making $8 an hour scraping houses, and now I own 3 houses, and so
these are
go
the 3.
figure.
These are just the 3 we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, but this is God doing for me what I can't do for myself. So yes, I start taking ownership of that, and I start putting out, and I get super stressed out. And this one dude, he keeps asking me, dude, I need your help. He's a friend of mine. He's in the program. And I keep brushing him off because I'm so busy. You know what I mean? I got so much to do. And I had a sort of moment of clarity or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I got to go. So I went and I got in this dude's truck, and we went and I helped him out. And for that hour and a half, it was so freeing, because suddenly I was on his time and I was helping him with his issue, and I was sort of in his world. And there's something to that, right? It's like
100%.
And guess what? All this crazy stuff that I thought I had to, all these balls I thought I had to keep in the air, it was fine. It worked out fine. And sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's fine too.
Out of self. My
Out
old
of
sponsor
self.
used to say that you have to get out of self. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Because let me get this out there. I'm usually all about self. Right? That's how I'm wired.
Well,
It's like we throw out the slogans. I'm not much, but I'm all I think about, Why if you're not telling me how good I have it, or how bad I have it, or how great I am, you know what I mean? Like that's one of the two. Yeah. Man, you got it rough. You got to wake up in the morning. You got a long commute to work. Man, you were awesome today.
Yeah.
It's like, woof, I know. Either way.
That's right.
And my girlfriend's a busy person, and the past week she was super busy, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be of service this whole week. Like, because usually she will beat you to whatever there is going on, because she's like just kind of a doer. And so I'm always kind of like, oh, I meant to do that. And she's like, well, you didn't, And so I was like,
well, you didn't.
Yeah. I see how bogged down she is. I was like, I'm going to help her. And, it wasn't perfect, but everything I could think to do of me, I tried to do. There was even a point where I had done a bunch of stuff, and I was thinking about, I'll do one more thing for her. Like, I'll chop up these vegetables because I know she's going to need it, And then my voice was like, you pussy, like how dare you? Like, aren't you're all done for today? Because those are the voices of, kids I grew up with right in the back of my head, or all the egotistical men, all the guys who taught me things about women knew nothing about women.
That's
right.
right.
That's the story of my life.
Funny.
And I do all that
Your
for
big
her.
brothers over there.
Oh
going like,
whoever.
You're a wuss, Pete.
Yeah, my brother Mike and Jeff Salucci. Like there's two guys who basically raised me.
Salucci.
Yeah. Kevin was always doing his own thing. I always give him a hard time. So, but I say that to say, that was a great week for me. It really was. And I was happy because she was really happy to be reinvigorated with her work. And it was just like, man, that felt like looking back when it was over, I was like, that felt good. And when she had to wind down a little bit, I was like, oh man, like what's going to happen now? Do I go back to being self-centered? And which tells me I need to get more involved with other alcoholics. I need to be there for them. I mean, that's a turnkey deal, right? Helping out your significant other in your home. I need to go a little further with that. But it felt so good. Now, you ask her how well I did, who knows, right? But for me, it was a fulfilling deal. And, I get what you're saying where when you get excited, it's all honestly what you described to me. It reminds me of a couple things, okay? One, when I remember I got Tecmo Bowl when I was in grade school, and I started to play it, and I liked it so much. I was so high off this thing that I faked sick the next 3 days and just played Tecmo Bowl. I was faking throwing up. I was playing. It was the craziest thing. Then I remember the first night I did cocaine. Okay. I was at a bar in New York City.
Hopefully that night was a bit further removed from the Tecmo Bowl. Okay.
Yeah, it was a week later. No, I went down to West Philadelphia with my brother.
Can't get enough of that Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, man. So, years later, right? And I'd done cocaine before, but I got my hands on. It was the first time I got a drug dealer's number. I did cocaine. And I was like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable. And I didn't go to work the next day. And I was like, I'm going to do this all day. I can't believe. And it sounds like you're the same thing, right? With I've rediscovered my music. Yeah. I'm going to go and play. And this is it for me, right? Like nobody get in the way of this. And that's it. I mean, that's how I'm wired.
How interesting,
right?
That you made that connection, the Tecmo Bowl and the cocaine.
Yeah, I mean, it's just right. It's like that thing that you think it will never expire.
Yeah.
Because it's that addict voice in our head, but eventually, it expires. So when yours expires, and you talked about this reckoning before Christmas.
Yeah.
What happens?
Yeah.
How do you restart?
Right. Well, first of all, I know enough about the program to know that if I'm disturbed, there's something wrong with me. So if my wife is just driving me crazy, then there must be something I need to look at in myself, right? So, that's a real high-minded idea, and it's not. So here's the thing. She confronted me, or maybe this is over a series of weeks of me being defensive. What are you talking about? No. And eventually it was like, I remember she sort of said something like, is there something I can do that, because I was just—
How long is this last?
I was being defensive. I was saying—
How long? Like for months?
Yeah, for months. And I didn't realize how neglectful I was being, really.
This is Alex with Be Kind Coffee. Find our drive-through location at 425 Lake Air Drive. Open weekdays 6:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. and weekends 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And our Union Hall location at 720 Franklin Avenue. Open every day 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Coffee, cookies, and now vegan-friendly mini pancakes at our Lake Air location. Be Kind Coffee, making Waco kinder, one cup at a time.
Hey, it's Young Day with Club Sandwich. If you've been craving one of our rice bowls but don't want to deal with the tourists, now's a good time to come. Visit us at the Silos Monday through Saturday, 11 to 4. And if you've never been, it is real chicken.
A bank in any town USA treats everyone like, well, anyone. At Central National Bank, we provide Central Texans with a different kind of banking. We believe in people over processes, listening over telling, and helping our customers over helping ourselves. Come to Central National Bank and experience the difference. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
It's, you know what an addict does when he wants to get to the thing? He'll do anything to get to the thing. And so in my case with my family, it's like, I'll go get carpool. I'll take the dog out. I'll wash the dishes. Is everybody happy? Is everybody good? You watching your TV show? Great. You get, and so then I would take off. It was almost like I had like Groundhog Day. You know, he does this thing over and over and over, and so he can just get to the part where he kisses the girl. Mm-hmm. So he's just kind of running through all the tasks that he has to achieve, and it's very self-centered. So he can get to the thing he wants to get to, and that's kind of how I was acting. And so when she started to tell me this, my initial gut is to be reactive, to be defensive. You get that?
No, it's Murph.
Okay.
Ready? Hold on. Murph.
What's up, Murph?
Hey, I'm doing a podcast with Wes now, all right? So I'll call you back.
All right. Later.
See you. All right. That's our number one fan.
So it just kind of occurred to me, after so long that I thought, oh, okay, wait a minute. She doesn't need to change. It's not her that needs to change. And she kept wanting to talk about it and process it and let's work through it together. And then I was like, no. I know what I need to do. I need to call Doug. I need to do the steps. So I started to do the steps again. So now I'm on step 4 and it's just, I guess the point is that, no, we don't need to work out arrangements. She doesn't need to, because I think part of my bitching and moaning was, I got 3 grown boys that live in the house, 3 teenage boys. I've got tons of work. She works full time. She's got tons of work. She's doing really great work and she's totally fulfilled in her work. And somewhere in all of that, I feel like, the little child in me gets defensive and says, well, you're not paying enough attention to me, this attitude.
You got kids who are high achievers.
Yeah.
You do, right?
But I mean,
you got one kid looking to go into Ivy League schools.
Well, that's another story. Yes, my kids are awesome, but the point I'm trying to make is I keep trying to tell Emily, I'm not getting enough from you. I'm not getting enough attention, and that's just patently, that's just bullshit. That's just 100% bullshit.
Is it hard to admit that?
It was hard to admit it, and then I go, but when you see it, you see it.
I appreciate you admitting that because, again, it's the opposite of what I was just talking about. Everything I learned about women were from guys who knew nothing about women.
But you said it earlier.
But that's your truth. I mean, I can be the same exact way, but am I going to tell somebody? Yeah. Right? Like I feel that way, so I'll act out in a different way. Exactly. So I appreciate you sharing that because that's the kind of stuff that makes me a better guy.
Well, I don't do it. I don't do it all the time. But I was thinking that what you said. So somebody said this to me in a meeting a long time ago. I never forgot it, I did forget it. I forget how they said it or who said it. But the idea was, if you're wanting a connection, if you're missing something from your spouse, like she's not giving you enough attention, then that you give her attention. You know what I mean? Or if you wish she would wash the dishes more often, you start washing the dishes more. I mean, it's just things like that. Like you do what you wish that they would do, and there's something magic. It's sort of like praying for your enemies, or so. There's something that happens there when you sort of do the opposite, and it frees you up.
Yes,
it just frees you up.
I think it frees them up too.
Totally,
because I really think good energy begets good energy.
Yeah,
and if it doesn't,
hard to do, but
yeah. Absolutely hard to do. So you start to go to meetings again. So when you went back to meetings, how was that transition? And did you get your hand up? Did you say hey, here's what's going on with me? Mm-hmm. I mean, not that you made some State of the Union, but what happened when you kind of re-entered that society?
It's a good question because I think when I started to come back in, I was emotionally kind of raw, having just sort of gone through some stuff with Emily. And still knew that this is where I needed to go, but also still holding on to some defensiveness and still. So if I could give myself advice going back, I would just say, just shut up. Just shut up for a month. Go to the meetings and don't talk. Because I think I got in there and was, modeling, or I would start being real sentimental, or I just didn't know myself enough because I hadn't started.
You were fucked up.
I was still kind of,
Yeah,
I was
that's-
recovering from all that. It's like anything when you come in,
It's like
fresh,
somebody brand new coming in.
bingo. You just
Yeah.
start talking. And that's a great thing about AA. People give you grace. You know, they're like, okay, let this guy talk.
Yeah, totally.
Here it comes, you know, 'cause we've
Yeah.
all been there. And I kind of did that again. I came back in and I was just talking out my ass, you know. I was just, and people were cool enough to go like, thanks for sharing, Wes. Yeah. So
Did anybody go up to you and like say like, hey, you doing all right?
Doug,
Yeah.
you know, my sponsor would be like, I'd say something, Doug's very matter of fact, I'd say something like, Doug, I think I probably need to take a look at the steps again, man. And he was like, yeah, you do. Just stuff like, just put me in my place. Like, yeah, you need to man up a little bit. You're acting like.
And there's magic in those rooms. There's magic in that room that, you know, you go to. I used to be able to go there every day.
Yeah, we miss you.
I know my schedule's kind of screwed up, but that's all BS.
Well, that's not BS. You got to go to Doug. But
Yeah.
I've been going every day, and it's made a huge difference. And I go now. It's really fun. Yesterday there was a meeting, and it was all ladies. Never been in that room in Turning Point where it was all ladies and me. It was perfect. I loved it. It was like 5 or 6 of my friends who happened to be ladies, and we just had the best. I don't know why I told you that, but it was really cool to just relate on that level. I love the relationships that I have in there, and you know, there are people that share story. I know people better than their families know.
100%.
And they know me better than so it's just this great, you go in, and as busy as I am, it's an acknowledgement that it's number one, it's a reset, a spiritual reset, but it's a spiritual practice. It's an action that I can take that signals or that says, I'm not running today, but also it's just a pleasure to get involved in other people's lives and to hear what's going on. And I don't know why there's not a line out the door for these meetings. I really, you know, because it's like you said, it's the best show in town.
Well, it's amazing because you don't want to do it, and then you do it and you feel great. And then I was on a meeting last night where a guy was talking to, you know, this one guy who we're all close to is out in Colorado, and he's doing his thing, and he was actually chairing the meeting, and he said, I just haven't been working my program like I need to, bottom line. And one guy who I view as just, you know, one of those guys who's just got an aura. He's been around forever, and he's awesome because he goes to meetings all the time. He said, if you go to a meeting every day for 14 days, on the 14th day, you won't be wondering, or the 15th day, you won't be wondering whether or not you need to get to a meeting. You'll get to one because you know how good you'll feel afterwards. Or you'll know how it frees you up. And after a period of time, you do just have smart feet. You know, it's the same reason that every time I stop to get gas, I go inside to get something with sugar in it,
feet.
you know?
Yeah.
Because it
That's
just
great.
calls me.
Yeah.
And it's the same way in recovery.
Well, it's even crappy meeting, quote unquote, crappy
Yeah,
meetings where
yeah.
you go in and someone's just going on and they're drunk a log or whatever. You know, even those meetings now, I can just I can find a place where I can have a conversation with God in that moment, and you know, I mean, even that is worthwhile. You can find a way to, because I'm like
can
you,
almost
I leave my
meditate,
phone
dude.
in the car,
Yeah.
and or in the truck, and
I try
so-
to all the time.
So it just frees me up to just be there and be present. And if someone's going on, that's what they're supposed to be going on. If someone, you know, if people are whatever, it's just, that's how it's meant to be going down. And you speak your truth or you don't. But at any rate, you're there open to the God of the universe. And it's just galvanizing.
How far do you feel you're removed from the guy that you were talking about? By the way, I was just thinking, so you even in your little like slip up or blurry period, right, that we're talking about, you still helped me several times. And, you know, you helped me move some stuff, like what was that, I guess in July. Mm-hmm. And I went over to your house and I'm there with you and Emily, we're hanging. Like, were things kind of tense then?
Maybe not then. They were getting there. It's hard for her because she wants to encourage me to do the things I
Well, it's funny,
love.
yeah. The reason I mention that is because you know, and it just shows like you don't know anything that's going on in somebody's life. You just, I mean, it was awesome. I went over there, I talked with her for a while, and you know, you were just really awesome sharing me, you know, your house, which you'd shown me years ago, and it was like, what's going on here? And now it's like this beautiful home. I felt good walking away, but then you're kind of cruising into, you know, the wilderness.
I guess it probably didn't really start getting bad till later. But yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Emily and I have always been such good buddies that
Is she still
We
pissed
just
at you?
enjoy
Is she
each
still
other's
pissed at you
company.
now? Is she working her way out of the?
she's not pissed at me.
Yeah.
She's grateful that I'm back in.
Yeah.
She totally sees a difference.
Well, she should be pissed at you. That's what I'm saying.
Right, I understand.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, we're the lucky ones. then.
That's right. Well, she's
Yeah.
good at compartmentalizing. I think we'll probably deal with it later down
Yeah.
the road. We'll talk it out in more detail. But for now, we're good.
What does your life look like now? Like, as far as you're going to meetings, you're working the steps. How much different do you feel?
Well, there's a reason they say it's one day at a time, and I'm real hesitant to say, well, I've made it. I've made it through the storm, and here I am. It's constantly changing, constantly evolving. All I know is what's working for me now, and that is, hit my knees in the morning, hit a meeting as much as I can, and what I'm learning now, which is new, because with each little calamity or painful episode, you get a little more information, I think. And for me, that's certainly the case. Like I realized that how much of this stuff I do on my own, or just with me and God, and how much I'm deceiving myself, how much more work I have to do.
Oh yeah.
And I think that only comes with working with someone else. And him saying, what about this? What about that? What about that? And I go, no, that's fine. Take a little closer look at that. And you go like, growth happens when two or more are gathered in the name of recovery. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm meeting Doug tomorrow to go over my fourth step that I'm doing again. But I really didn't do the steps, but one time when I came in, like I've never gone back and redone them. And I know people do that a lot, and I just never did it because I got it, and I haven't drank, so I must be good.
But there's freedom in those. That is what we want. It's the feeling that alcohol and drugs gives us, is walking out of somebody's presence after doing a fifth step with them, right?
Yeah.
It's reinvigorating. You can't really describe it unless you've done it. But the one word I would give to it is freedom. Mm-hmm. And you talk about working with other people. Like I feel like I've had like a financial relapse recently because I've just moved into I've transitioned into a whole new way of life, and it's a good thing. But it's not just me anymore. I can't just do whatever I want to do. I don't even know. I'm not responsible for other people. They're taking care of themselves. But when you become a part of, a team, right? Like you just can't be willy-nilly. Things just change. There's more responsibility. You got to level up. And, I find myself in little bullshit lies, just like, because I don't want to, this is how I've always done it, which has been so screwy, but like, I got it,
Yeah.
And I'm just working through a bunch of that stuff because what comes with that is financial insecurity, and I sat down with my significant other, just last week, and we went through, it was the first time somebody else looked through my bank account, and it was like,
wow.
Yeah, it was very freeing. There was one part fear, one part embarrassment. And the biggest comment I got was like, how many snacks do you get while you're at work? It's like, what, like,
who's this bookie in Chicago?
No, there wasn't any of that. There's none of that, but it's just like, just stop being a moron, and it's, but my thing is like, well, that's how I've always done it. Like, it's just, it's the evolution is hard.
Yeah.
Being a card-carrying member and contributing to society in the right way is hard. The way that I want to do things are my way, and it's messy, and I'm fudging stuff, and it's just not crystal clear. Gordon, who sat here with me last year, great guy around this area.
He's running step study.
Oh, yeah.
Starts tomorrow.
Here he is, Gordon H. doing the step study.
Yeah, doing step study.
Yeah. Well, he sat here a year ago and he said, no. He told me just recently, you're either in or you're out.
Yeah.
And that's it. Whether it's sobriety, a relationship, a job, this podcast. He said was talking to a sponsor and he said, his sponsor said this to him. He said, Gordon, you're either in or you're out. And Gordon said, well, it's not that simple. And he was like, it is. You're either in or you're out. And that's really what AA teaches us, right? Like, you've got to get out of the way, do God's will, and then you're okay. And last night, we'll get ready to wrap this up while I'm on a rant, because you got me feeling good. It's great to have somebody in here, by the way. It really is.
Pete, I like you so much.
Yeah.
This is awesome. I can do this every day.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
No, but I was talking. A guy called me last night who I love, and he was a guy who, when I was at rock bottom, helped me get into a rehab, and this is 10 years ago. Changed my life, and he's struggling today. He's in and out, and he's really putting together some good stuff in sobriety. So he's curious. He called me up and he asked me, what is your spiritual connection all about? And I'm thinking, like, why is this guy calling me? I'm like, why would anybody call me about this stuff? I was in one of those like headspaces. And then I started to talk to him about it, and it was empowering, the fact that he'd asked me. And, I got to share with him that doing the right thing for me is hard, right? But when I do the right thing that's hard, I feel good. And when I do it over and over again, that's my connection with God, because that body of work is really something to lean on, right? What do you want to lean on, the truth or the lies? And when I'm living in God's will, I'm living in the truth, and the truth becomes this monument, right, that I erect. And it makes me feel good, and that is my conscious contact with God. It's like, okay, if I do God's will, it's going to work out, however it works out, because I'm going to feel okay about myself and be able to move forward. If I like just kind of get wishy-washy with it, if I lie, take shortcuts, that's not God's will, and it just doesn't work for me.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of you walk into a store and you see a sign that says "Do hard things." It's as simple as that.
My father-in-law, we talked about it in the first podcast, has a saying. It's like, it's not going to be all right. It's not going to be okay. It's already okay.
Yeah.
It's okay right now. So, and that speaks to doing. I'm just.
It's not going to be okay. It's
not.
Okay,
You're
right?
not doing all this stuff so that it can be okay. It's like, it's okay right now, and that is more of, that speaks to what God's will is for me. Is what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And how I can react to that, how I can be a part of it or not. I
Yeah.
can choose to be a part of it. I can choose to jump in the stream and go with it, or I can not do my own thing. See how that works out. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah.
Different from the tower. I look at the stream.
Yeah.
Maybe the stream goes by the tower.
Yeah, maybe. All right. So anything else? You've got an appointment with me in a year.
Great.
Right.
Let's do it in a year.
We'll get you back. But anything else?
No, my whole hope for this and for your podcast and for me participating is that someone out there can get something out of it and it would be beneficial and helpful to them.
Yeah.
So I hope that happened.
Yeah. No, if somebody's listening to this right now, and hopefully you're still listening, and you don't think that, maybe you're on the fence. People get on the fence, man. People get 5 years and they're on the fence and they go out, whatever.
Yeah.
This is an example of, what happens. You just become messy. You become unfulfilled when you get away, and this is another example and the thing I like about it is it's sort of in a vacuum. This is a streamlined example that people can just drop in and listen to right now about, how you feel when you get away from it.
That's right.
For an elongated period of time, the longer we get away from it, the more whatever we're doing that's gnarly makes sense.
Yeah. I would say, for my thing, it's like, there's no great expectation for you to go out and save the world or become a missionary or stop cussing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
My whole thing is just be open.
Yeah.
And I lean on the positive. Like, it's a freaking adventure. Like, it's really cool. When you're open, you start to see stuff, and stuff appears in your back pocket. And you go, where did this come from? And it's that kind of thing that is the drink, is the sense of ease and comfort that comes from the program, is when you're in that flow and God is doing for you what you can't do for yourself, and just making yourself available to that is where it's at, man. And so when you stop doing that because you want to do your thing, you're just not going to feel good. You're not going to experience that, and that's okay. You can do that. But eventually, if you're an alcoholic, the problem is you're going to go drink or do something else that eases your mind and gives you that false sense of peace in your guts. But that's not going to come. So anyway, that's my big spiel. Hallelujah.
So Wes Cunningham, by the way, is an artist on Jive Records. You can, so Jive Records, right?
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers.
But that's years ago.
Years ago.
That music sucks. Don't
okay.
Don't
Warner Brothers, Wes Cunningham, and also the movie is Saronia. You can get it. You can watch it on iTunes.
Don't bother.
And you can get it on all kinds of streaming services. It's a great movie.
I do have a house to sell if you want to come.
Where's the house? Seriously, get in touch with Wes. So if you're living in Central Texas in the Waco area.
Well, my dad and I have been working on a house for a year. I buy a house and I work on it for a year, and it's ready to go. It's beautiful. It's on North 15th and right around North 15th and Waco Drive. So you'll see it. Come on by. Should I give the address? I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
623 North 15th.
Yeah.
Come buy a house from me.
Yes.
I make a good deal.
And if you can't get in touch with Wes, I'll help you get in touch with Wes. And where I know you're going to blow this off, but any other music you have out there that people can hear?
No, I'm still.
Come on, man.
Well, there's music out there on Bandcamp.
Okay.
From this period that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
So some good came out of it, but I've kind of tapped the brakes on it for now until I kind of I got to reorient. With music stuff. That's just how I am. I'm weird about that.
I think, and this
it'll come back.
I think it will be really cool.
Yeah.
To see you. I think we all struggle in our ability to think we can get to that creative point in sobriety. Mm-hmm. And I think when we break through that, the sky is the limit. Mm-hmm. You know, for me, getting sober, there's so much fear. So much fear of failure. Mm-hmm. I'm wrapped up in it right now. Professionally, you know, am I going to make this next step? What am I going to do? Am I going to take this situation? No. And it's like, you know, just walking through it with God, right?
Yeah.
And finding that creativity. You know, that's sitting here with you for me. Like if you told me I was going to be sitting here with you, you know, 4 years ago when I met you doing this, I would have said no way because I don't think I would have had the balls. Really, you know?
Wow. Yeah,
but here
cool.
we are. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bandcamp, Wes Cunningham. You can see the music there. Wes?
Pete.
Thanks, brother.
Dude.
Great stuff. All right, Mike.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.